Hey, Supermums, how you all going today? I'm just going to go through and unmute you guys. And if you can, just click that mute button next to your name, just so that there's not heaps of noise happening. Cool, cool, cool.
But I can't even see the screen.
There we go. Cool, perfect. How's everyone going? How's everyone's day going? Can everyone hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up. Perfect, awesome. So I just want to welcome all these new mums that have started on Monday. I'm really freaking excited to see your guys' journey throughout these 28 days. It's going to be absolutely incredible, and I'm sure you've seen all the other testimonials, seen all these other mums' success stories coming through this challenge as well. So it's really exciting. So what I want you guys to start off with, first of all, is just writing out your 3 biggest wins. What have been your biggest wins for this past week? What have been the biggest wins? Let me know in the comments below, or to the right, or above, or somewhere. It should be down below or to the right. What have been your biggest wins for this past week? And I also wanted to come in and talk about clarity and connection. And when I say clarity and connection, these are the 2 major pillars to motivation. And if we don't have either one of these, then we're simply not motivated. We're simply not going to be able to sustain high levels of motivation. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today is yes, goal setting, reverse engineering those goals, getting both specific and connected to these goals on an emotional level. Nothing in the chat box. Awesome. So we'll just rip straight into it then. No worries. So give me a second, guys. Okay, cool. Awesome. So we're going to be going over motivation today, guys, and motivation is made up of 2 pillars. So there is clarity and there is connection. So clarity is basically laying out all the specificities, being very specific with our goals, having an exact weight loss goal, knowing exactly when we're going to get there, knowing exactly what it's going to give us. So let's just say, for instance, you might have a goal of losing 10 kilos. You want to lose 10 kilos. So when specifically do you want to lose these 10 kilos by? Well, maybe that's 10 weeks. So if you reverse engineer that back, then that's going to be 1 kg per week. Now, if you woke up tomorrow morning and you were 10 kilos lighter, what will that give you that you don't have as much of right now? What specifically will that give you? Why is losing this so important? Like, what's it going to give you? It might be energy. It might be confidence. Cool. And then so you'd ask yourself, what specifically has to happen inside of your life for you to say that, yep, I've got energy now? What has to happen inside of your life for you to be like, energy is like no longer an issue? What has to happen? Well, maybe it's to get to the end of the day without burning out. End of the day without needing a nap. Cool. And for how long for specifically? Well, you might set yourself a goal. Well, if I get to the end of the day without needing a nap for 2 weeks straight, then yep, I'd probably say that I've achieved energy. I'd probably say then that energy would no longer be a problem. It would no longer be an issue inside of my life. And then for confidence, what has to happen specifically for you to say that, yep, I'm confident now. I've actually achieved this goal of being confident. Confidence is no longer an issue. Well, it might be to be able to go into any shop and buy anything off the rack and buy any clothes off the rack without even having to think twice, without having to go to special stores. So that's laying out all the specificities, and as well as that is what days am I going to be meal prepping? When specifically am I going to be exercising? What time of the day? On which days? Having an exact blueprint, having an exact game plan in place. Because if we just want to lose 10 kgs and we don't know why or when or what it's going to give us and how we know we've achieved it, then we're lacking motivation because we've got no direction, we've got nothing tangible to work towards. We'll never know when we've actually achieved it. So clarity is laying out all the specificities, Now connection, when I say connection, I mean emotional connection. Like emotion is the only thing that drives motivation, and without emotion, there is simply no motivation. And emotion connection just simply comes from asking the question, why? Why is this important? Why is it important that I get to the end of the day without needing a nap? Why is it important that I can just go into any shop and buy any clothes off the rack? Why is that important? Well, it might be I want to get to the end of the day without needing a nap because, well, why is that important? Well, I want to keep up with my kids. I want to be able to keep up with my kids. So why is it important that you want to keep up with your kids? Seems like a stupid question because I want to be the absolute best role model. I want to be the best mum that I can possibly be. I want to be the absolute best role model that I can possibly be. And do you see what's happening now? Now we are forming emotion. Now we're emotionally connected to these outcomes. If we just said to ourselves, yeah, I just want to lose 10 kilos to feel a little bit better and have a bit more energy. Until we uncover and discover what's going to be a sign, how do we even know when we've achieved energy based on our blueprint, based on our internal blueprint of what energy is to us, not in general, but to us, what confidence is to us as individuals. And then asking ourselves, why is that important? Why is it important that you can go into any shop and buy any clothes off the rack? Because I want to be able to feel comfortable in my skin. I want to be able to feel comfortable in my skin. And why is that important? Because I'm sick of blah, blah, blah. I'm sick of going out into social situations and feeling like X, Y, Z, whatever it is. But until we ask ourselves, what is it specifically that we're wanting to achieve? When specifically are we going to achieve this by? And having a non-negotiable, realistic goal. And setting smart goals. Setting smart goals. And I think, for a lot of people might set very unrealistic goals. Some people might set really unrealistic goals. They might want to lose 10 kgs in 2 weeks or whatever it is. But they might be basing these results off something they've seen on the internet. They might be basing these results off, you might see a fad diet where Sally lost, 10 kgs in a week or whatever it is. But did Sally keep the weight off? Or are we just looking at the shiny objects? So smart goals are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. This is how we need to be setting goals. We need to be specific. It needs to be measurable. We need to know exactly when we've achieved it. It needs to be attainable. It needs to be realistic. Not setting ourselves goals where we're going to be putting so much freaking pressure on ourselves like, oh my God, I need to lose 10 kilos in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to starve myself. Because we're not going to be doing it like that. And setting time-bound goals and making these goals non-negotiable. Making these goals non-negotiable. So it comes down to 4 simple questions. I want you guys to ask yourself, and write this down as well, team. I want you to ask yourselves 4 simple questions. And these questions is what? What? What is it that I'm wanting to achieve? What exactly is it that I'm wanting to achieve? Specifically. Get specific. If you just say, I just want to be confident. That's not specific enough. How do you know you've achieved it? What's going to be a sign? What's going to be an indicator that you've actually achieved these things? Where you could say, yep, I've actually set myself this task and now I've achieved it. And the next question is when? When specifically do you want to achieve these goals by? Get specific, set an exact goal, and again, be realistic and make it non-negotiable. Set yourself a target and freaking chase after that every single day. What, when, how? How am I going to achieve this? What do I have to do? How am I going to do this? What days am I going to be exercising? What days am I going to be meal prepping? When am I going to be fitting these things in to my schedule to ensure that I actually achieve these things? And why? And why? That's the big question. Why is this important? Why is this? Why are we even here? And we all know why on an unconscious level. And I speak to some mums that come into this 28-day Igniter challenge and they don't want to open up to me. They don't want to uncover their why. They'll laugh it off. They say, I want to be confident. They'll laugh at them saying, why is that funny? They say, well, I just never really thought about this before. And it's really important because if we don't know what our why is, then there's nothing sort of driving us forward. With you as the super mum in the center here, you need to know the what, you need to know the when, the how, and the why. So I want you mums to ask yourselves a series of questions tonight. I want you to ask yourself, what is it specifically that you're wanting to achieve? When specifically do you want to achieve this goal by? What specifically will achieving this goal give you? If you woke up tomorrow morning and you would achieve this goal that you're wanting to achieve, what will that give you that you don't have as much of right now? Or what will it give you that you don't have any of right now? When specifically are you going to achieve this goals? How are you going to do it? What days are you going to be meal prepping? And why? Why is this so important for you? What's the biggest driver? What's motivating you the most? What's the thing that when you're feeling like shit, when on those days where you're feeling like quitting, what's those things that you think back to, you refer back to, and you're like, shit, this is so much more than just losing this number going down in the scales. Because you know it as well. You guys know it, right? It's so much more. It's so much more than the number going down in the scales. It's confidence. It's empowerment. It's feeling in control, right? It's having that spring in our step, having that spark back in our life. We're going to go to the chat. Tuyata. Wins, lost 3 kg since starting. Learned a new recipe, completed all the workouts. Wicked. Karen actually doing the workouts. Perfect, Karen. Jenna lost a kg and found some awesome recipes I've been cooking and thoroughly enjoying. And how cool is it, guys, that none of you are on a meal plan. None of you are on a diet. And I'm sure for a lot of you guys, like, you might have, friends come up to you and say, like, what diet are you on? What meal plan are you on? And you're like, well, none. It's good. I mean, it's the most sustainable approach. I've been giving personalized meal plans to people for the past 3 years. And what I found was the only people that would get results were the people that are actually disciplined enough to stick to that. But how sustainable is that for? And once the program is finished, they seem to think, shit, I have to stick to these meal plans. Otherwise, I'm going to put the weight back on because I don't actually know how to keep the weight off. And, there's no point losing any weight if it can't be sustained long term. Kara, wins are losing some weight, cutting a whole minute off my minute per kilometer. I now want to work out. Wicked. Nat, I'm scared to weigh myself. And again, guys, please do not weigh yourselves every single day. Don't focus so much on the number on the scales. While that's only a small part, of this. If you're letting the scales, the number on the scales, dictate your mental state, dictate how happy you are, then you're never going to be happy. It's always going to go like this. And when you reach that goal, eventually, it's going to creep up and it's going to come down. It's going to creep up. So if you're focusing on the number on the scale so much, then it's going to do your head in. It's going to really mess you up. If you focus, however, on becoming more aware, if you focus on what your triggers are with emotional eating, if you focus on executing on every single daily task rather than focusing on the end goal so much, then it's going to be a hell of a lot easier. The number on the scale is going to come down as a result. But our focus needs to shift from the number on the scales to actually just getting the things done that we need to get done. The gratitude journal, looking after our state. Looking after our state instead of thinking about this like it's a race. It's not a race to get to lose as much weight as fast as possible. Because I could have just given you mums, 800 calories. I could have given every single one of you 800 calories. And I said, yep, stay under 800 calories and you're going to lose weight. And for most of you, you'll lose at least 5 kilos in the first week. But the problem with that is your metabolism is going to be damaged. Your basal metabolic rate, your maintenance level is going to drop. It's going to spike. And then once you go back to eating like a normal human being again, because you can't eat 800 calories for the rest of your life, then you're going to spill over into a huge calorie surplus. And that's why people pile the weight back on. Because there's, everyone's out there looking for the quick fix when in reality there is none. There is no quick fix. We don't gain the weight overnight, so we can't expect to lose it overnight either. Are you guys with me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And another thing as well, team, is the results trifecta. The info and the strategy. Whoops, I need to share my screen. This is all new to me. So the info and the strategy is only 10% of it. The info and the strategy is 10% of it. If it was as easy as giving you a meal plan and an exercise program and saying, there you go, wouldn't everyone be in the best shape of their life? It takes so much more. Information is not enough these days. We're drowning in information. There's information everywhere. Information from our friends, information from our family, information from our work colleagues, loved ones, on the TV, when we're scrolling through Facebook, information on the radio on the way home. We are drowning in information. And as a species, I feel like we are so conditioned to consuming without actually implementing. And consuming is the easy thing to do. Consuming is the comfortable thing to do. You and I could sit here and we could, read a book, we could listen to a podcast, we could watch a motivational video, and it would feel nice. It'll feel comfortable. And for a lot of us, like the consuming is only 1% of it, because the lessons are actually learned through putting the action steps in place. Because it's the action steps that's going to lead to the challenges, and it's going to lead to actually giving ourselves lessons, more clarity, and therefore more certainty within ourselves, because we've been through it. Rather than taking the info and running with it and then saying, when you encounter something and something doesn't go your way, every single one of us will have an internal blueprint of how much weight we should lose in these 28 days. Every single one of us will have a story that we'll be telling ourselves as to how this should go. And I'm telling you right now is sometimes it will not go your way. 90% of the time, shit will not go your way. But your ability to actually navigate through these challenges, navigate your way through the fog to that treasure, like that's where it's going to lie. That's what's going to determine whether or not you guys succeed with making this a healthy lifestyle or not. It's the mind game. It's the stories that you're telling yourselves. It's the limiting beliefs. It's the labeling. It's the I am statements. It's the things you're focusing on, the values. So when I brought you mums into this, there are 3 pillars, and there's the info on the strategy. I could teach you mums about weight loss in about 7 minutes. Calorie deficit equals weight loss. You expend more energy than you put into your body, then weight loss is going to happen. There's weight loss, done. But it's not that easy, right? It's not that easy. And over here, we have the code, living by the code. We have the habits. We have like the mindset shift, the identity shift. And that's one other part. And then over here, we have the environment. We have the environment, we have the coaches, we have the support, the accountability, the motivation. And I feel like all 3 of these are so freaking important. It's so important. Imagine just having the info without the environment. I mean, let's put it this way. Here's Mount Everest. Here's Sally. Always Sally. Here's Sally. Where you want to get to is right at this peak. And if Sally's climbing this mountain by herself for 6 days and 6 nights, when is Sally going to give up? When she gets tired, when she gets hungry, when the bugs come out, when it gets dark. But if Sally has me in front of her saying, hey, I'm going to show you the way. And if Sally has 100 other mums around her and we are all walking up this mountain together and we're singing Kumbayas, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier. If it was as easy as just giving someone a meal plan, then everyone would be in the best shape of their life. Are you guys with me?
Yep.
Cool. And I want to put it this way. Team. Like, how many of you guys actually think when you brush your teeth? How many of you guys have to actually force yourselves to be like, oh yeah, I've got to brush my teeth? It's so unconscious. We don't have to think about doing it. We're programmed to do it. It's habitual, right? We're so programmed to do it. It's so unconscious now that we just do it on autopilot. It doesn't seem like something we have to do. It's just something that we just do, right? That's the exact intention with this. It's so much more than just taking this and there are going to be shit days. It's so much more than just the strategy, because the strategy is not always going to go your way. And for a lot of people, they might encounter a problem. They might hit a challenge. They might get to the end of a week and they might lose 100 grams or no grams. And they might say, this does not work. I give up. And they might just revert back and say, this doesn't work. But I'm telling you, it does work. You've seen it work. Had hundreds of mums come through this challenge and most of them lose weight. And the very final thing that I want you guys to live by is living by our code. Living by our code throughout this challenge is going to benefit you guys massively. And we have 3, the code is basically a set of rules that we live by. And if you hold yourself to the standard and actually live by the code, then achieving these goals is going to be truly easy. The first one is being impeccable with your word. Being impeccable with your word. And being impeccable with your word means if you say you're going to do something, then you're going to do it. Then you have to follow through and do it. If you say you do something, then you've got to mean it. You mean it. If you say that you're going to exercise 5 days this week, then you fucking mean you're going to exercise 5 days this week. Your word is everything. Your word is your bond Without your word, then there's nothing. The second pillar to the code is being resourceful. Being resourceful. 99% of the time, shit will not go your way. Most of the time, things will not go your way, but your ability to actually navigate your way through these problems, through these challenges, and see the failures as lessons and opportunities to grow, and not seeing these challenges and obstacles as like, holy shit, why is this happening to me right now? Why am I being trapped into that emotional fog, and you just not being able to move forward? You're stuck. You're frozen there. But your ability to actually see these challenges as opportunities to grow and using it as lessons, like, holy shit, okay, so what can I do to make sure that this doesn't happen moving forward? And the very last pillar of the code is you are in charge. You are in charge of your mindset, and therefore you're in charge of your results. And this pillar here is not having that victim mentality of like, that's just life. This is just the way life is. No, like, you are in charge of your mindset. You're the filter, like, you know, the lens that you are wearing right now, the way the lens in which you are seeing the world right now is determining your outcomes. It's creating your reality, right? And for those of you who missed it, when we're talking about, you know, the reticular activation system, where we had, you know, how we create our reality, and we had this here, we had information, and like I said, information is freaking everywhere, left, right, and center. Information everywhere, and this information comes through our 5 senses. Right? This information comes through our 5 senses. And then it gets broken down. We have these things called our filters. So we have our identity, we have our language, we have our values, and we have our beliefs. And then we have this thing called our internal representation. And our internal representation is basically our mind map. This is how we perceive our reality. This is how we perceive the world based on all this information that comes through these 5 senses. So what we need to do is we need to optimize these things here. We need to optimize our identity, optimize our language, our values, our beliefs, and understanding that our actions support all of these things. Our actions are backed by all of these things. Because once it comes through our internal representation, we make a story of it. We tell ourselves a story. We hold on to a belief. And most of the time, you know, sometimes these beliefs don't serve us. And sometimes there's no facts to support these beliefs. So this happens in a split second, by the way. This info comes through our 5 senses, affects these filters. We make a story of it. It happens in a millisecond. That affects our state, our mental state. That affects our mood as well. And then it affects our physiology. And it affects our behavior. It affects our behavior. Shit. I'm talking too fast and I'm trying to type at the same time. And it affects our behavior. And then that determines our outcomes and our results. So if we take complete ownership and if we take complete responsibility of our filters right now, of our identity, our language, our values, and our beliefs, and understanding that depending on how optimal these are, depending on how aware we are of these things, that's going to determine how we perceive our reality. Like, what is reality? Well, reality is just perception. Your reality is whatever you perceive it to be. So, you know, when people say, oh, this shit's going wrong in my life and this and that, and, you know, complaining about so many negative things, and they wonder why it keeps showing up time and time again, because they're focusing on it. Your values are whatever you focus on. And whatever you're focusing on is what you're languaging. If you say, I am stressed, you're valuing stress, whether you're aware of that or not. If you say, I am tired, you're valuing being tired. And if you say, I am, you've just formed an identity. You are the definition of stress. You are the definition of tired. Therefore, you have some sort of very unconscious beliefs around these things, and your actions back all of them. Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's not too intense, is it?
No.
Wicked. And so your task for tonight, Super Mums, is I want you guys to get crystal clear with what it is that you're wanting to achieve. What it is you're wanting to achieve. When specifically you want to achieve it. If you achieve this goal, ask yourself the question, if you woke up tomorrow morning and you achieve that goal, if you woke up tomorrow morning, you're 10 kilos lighter, how's that going to feel? What's that going to give you right now that you don't have as much of? Confidence, energy, fitness, strength. Let's get even more specific. How do we know that we've achieved confidence, fitness, strength, energy? What has to happen for us to say, yep, we've achieved it now? And why is that important? Why is that even important? Those are the 4 questions I want you to ask yourself tonight. And I'm going to put a post up later on tonight as well. And I'd love to hear what you guys have written down. I'd love to hear what your goals are. When you've set these goals, are they time specific? Are they SMART goals? Are they SMART, measurable? Are they specific? Are they realistic, attainable, and time bound? So I'm going to put a post up tonight, and I'd love to know, team, what are your goals? Are they specific? And then come and tell me if you're feeling more motivated once you've asked yourself the question of why. What's the purpose of that? Why? And at the core, you mums know. You know exactly why. We just need to uncover it. We just need to break it down and reverse engineer it. And don't focus so much on the scales. Don't focus so much on the end result of the 10 kilos in 10 weeks. Don't focus on the end. Reverse engineer it. And then say, shit, I've only got to lose 1 kilo a week for 10 weeks. So what am I going to do this week to ensure that I lose this 1 kilo? Easy. But if we look at 10 whole weeks, that's 70 days, and we're like, shit, we're going to do this and that. But if we break it down and it looks so much more in reach. Small incremental steps, that's going to lead to the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And one last thing, team, is really, really important, is I don't want any of you mums saying things like fitter. I want to be fitter. I want to be stronger. I want to be happier, and things like that, because unconsciously we're coming from a place of comparison. We're coming from a place of comparison, whether we're aware of that or not. Fitter than who? Fitter than what?
Mm-hmm.
And fitter, there's no end goal of fitter. Fitter continues forever. Stronger continues forever.
Right.
If we want to be strong, then we can ask ourselves, what is our perspective of what confident is in our eyes, in our life? What's strength to us? What's fitness to us? How do we know that we're fit? Not in general, but to us. Because we all have our own answers of what confidence is. We all have our own perspective of what fitness is to us. For some people, it might be to run 500 meters. For some people, it might be to walk 100 meters, whatever it is. So I really want you guys to get specific tonight with the what, the when, the how, and most importantly, the why.
Yep, sounds good.
Awesome, Nikki. Wicked. All right, team. Well, that's it. Well, I'm going to put a post up later on tonight, and I'd love to hear what you guys have written down. And again, like inside of this challenge, there's no judgment whatsoever. I want you guys to be as open as possible. We're all here for the same reason. We're all wanting to be better, to get back that confidence, get back that energy, get back that control. So I'm going to put that post up tonight, team, and I'd love to hear what you guys have written down. And let's fucking crush it. Awesome, guys. Well, I'll chat to you all very soon, and have an amazing night. I've got a round table now with the VIP group, so we're going to be working late. All right, team. I'll chat to you all very soon. Have an amazing night.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Listen, it rained.